It's like a paradox now. Like to get your experience, you need to get your first job, and to get your first job, you need an experience. Hi, I'm Shazev. I am a self-taught product designer and a community builder, and here on YouTube I make videos about productivity, design, and occasional lifestyle vlogs. In this video, I'm going to answer one of the most common questions ever, and I think it applies to any profession beyond design, but for the scope of this video, I will primarily be answer from a design and UX perspective. So that question is, how do you get, or how do you demonstrate real world experience before you get a real job? Because nowadays, even entry level jobs, they now require work experience. So it's like a paradox now. Like to get your experience, you need to get your first job, and to get your first job, you need an experience. So people are sort of very confused. How do they get real world experience before they get a real job? And from my own experience as a person who got his first job, these three things actually work for me, and now I'll be sharing those with you. So the first thing that worked was freelance projects, because I think that should be your first avenue to get real world projects, real world products to work on, because studying courses is not the same as working on real world projects, because real world projects have got real world constraints. They really inform your decision making and the way you actually solve those problems. Your process is influenced by the problem itself. So working on real world projects is definitely very, very essential. And the way I went about it is that I freelanced on some projects through Fiverr and through Upwork, because while I was preparing for my first job, I knew that I need to have some experience on my resume. So how did I do that? Is that I talked to my clients about it and said that why not make this freelance work a contract based work. So on your resume, you can then list this work as contract based, so it can add real world experience before you get your first job. So this is one avenue. Use freelance work to demonstrate as contract work on your resume. And I have seen YouTube videos with people from Microsoft and Facebook telling that this is what they did as well for their first job. The second thing which I did was definitely concept projects. Now people are sort of iffy about these. Like, concept projects are self projects, they don't count as real world projects, but I think it's what you make of them. Like, if you are working on a concept projects all alone and you don't really introduce real world constraints and real world research and insights into your project, then definitely that concept project would not work. But if you work on your concept project like a real world project, like you go out and you do research, and you maybe hire someone for usability studies, because or just take it as a real world project, right? Execute everything you would in your real life, go to interviews, conduct surveys. So then that concept project, that self project, can be considered as a real world project, because in UX primarily the process matters. So if you worked on some project, even if it's your own, a good company would focus on how you went about it, how you solved that problem. They would be much more concerned about the process you employed and the different skills you have and you used, rather than did you do it at XYZ company. So concept projects can also count as your real world experience if you do them as a real world project. The third thing which definitely works, that is hackathons. Participate in design based or tech hackathons. Now I know that many people are sort of scared, especially designers, to go into hackathons, because you need to code and build stuff. But why not look at people who are going into such competitions, maybe become a part of their tech team. Like, they can do the coding, but you can do the design aspect of things. So this is how you can actually have real world experience on your resume as well. You can definitely put this on your resume, like you worked on this XYZ project. And since it's a competition, so definitely hackathons do look good on your resume. Even if you participate, or better yet, if you win them, then definitely hackathons and online competitions can definitely help you as well. If I talk about myself, then I participated in Google's global competition. Now I know in that I had to build and code an app, but I also had to design it first using design thinking. That was essentially when I first came across design. So that competition, I put that on my resume, and it still helps me a lot because people and your employers actually ask you about that, and then you can tell about your process. Basically, what you should focus on is that on your resume, you should have experiences you can talk about. You can use those experiences and those activities to demonstrate your processes, your knowledge, and what you can do as a designer. So your work experience should act as a catalyst in your interview, which propels you to talk about you as a designer. So these three things actually work for me to get work experience before I get my first job. So to break that paradox, you need to do something out of the box. So the three things which I used were freelance projects to get some real world clients on my resume. I had some concept projects which I worked on as a real world project. I conducted real user interviews, real user research. So concept projects as real world projects. And the third one was participate in competitions and hackathons to earn some accolades and sort of test your design skills as well. So these three things really worked. And just so that I leave a very good takeaway from my own work experiences so far, is that the most important skill for a UX designer and for maybe every professional nowadays is your ability to collaborate with multiple teams and multiple people at the same time. So if you have this skill, if you can collaborate with multiple teams at the same time and make sure everything goes forward, your project management skills are very good, then I think you're pretty well off, because this is sort of very important now. Your ability to collaborate and all these activities, hackathons or freelance work, they add to your collaborative skills. So that would be all for this video. I hope I answered that question, and if you have any more questions, do put them in the comment section. I will make sure to attend to them in my next videos. That will be all. Thank you.